All right, well, welcome to this presentation. This is going to be over several different modules to kind of go over this concept called cash flow. It's basically understanding how money moves through the company. And when you get an understanding of how money moves through it, it allows us as leaders to better make decisions so that we can try to optimize how we know how the cash flow works. Also, I'll say that when you go through this training, you're going to find that not only are you going to learn how things work for the business setting, but you can translate a lot of this into your own personal finance, as many of this stuff is going to apply to your own personal finances and how things you may handle when it comes to money at your own house. So think of this as a crash course in personal finance and business finance kind of put together. And when you go through this, you're going to learn a little bit of accounting, a little bit of some financial terms, and have a better understanding of how this whole thing of money works when we're looking at how it's flowing, so we know how to better optimize the ultimate amount of cash that we end up getting. So let's start off with this first part. Of course, we're going to start off with just the basics. Now, I will say that when we get to the whole end of this thing, we are going to get this entire diagram is going to be kind of worked through, and you're going to understand it in its entirety. But we're going to take it kind of layer by layer so that it's more easily understood, so that's not so overwhelming at the beginning. Okay, let me get myself kind of organized there. Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is what we're ultimately going to be going towards. And when we get to this entire thing, what we're looking for is down at the very bottom, money flowing out to the owner so that the owner is happy. Okay, that's the bottom line of what this whole process is going to be and how we're going to work through this entire process. Okay, let's first of all start off with some of the basics. When you see a green arrow, that means that money is either moving into the business or it's moving through the business. When there's a red arrow, that means money is moving out of the business. Okay, so that kind of explains some of this coloration as we go through these next several slides. But let's start off with the most basic thing of all, and that is the general idea of business and just the whole profit and loss thing, right? So you have revenue, that's money that's coming to the business. There's expenses that have to be paid. And after those expenses are paid, you're left with profit. Okay, so that's the very most basic understanding when it comes to finances, or at least looking at how the business is operating. It's a very, very simple equation: money that's come in, expenses that have to be paid out, and then profit, that's left over. So that concludes the very beginning introduction to this entire concept of cash flow. The next module we'll be going into is going to be talking about going from sales to revenue.